right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another segment of the Fantastic Fathers Television Network. We are doing our sponsor spotlight, which we do every month. We have been fortunate enough to be blessed with 10 amazing local sponsors that believe in what we do. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do anything. So today in studio, I have Tia Nicoletti, comfortably known as Tia Bia, from the Windsor Circus School. And they've been a sponsor of ours for the last couple of years and been at our events. And they're basically a staple now. We wouldn't do the event without them. Welcome, Tia. How are you today?
Thanks, Steve. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I've had quite an extravagant morning, so I'm actually happy to be sitting right
Nice.
now.
Well, I was going to say, you look like you got a little shoulder, like a deltoid and a bicep pump going right now. You must have just finished a session.
Yeah, I just finished training, which was quite funny because now we're back into the real world again and trying to figure out how things are functioning. And so I woke up this morning and got to train for the first time in a long time, and then did a virtual class. So we're kind of on the virtual class kick with everyone right now.
Yeah, that's obviously the way everything's going nowadays. Hopefully not much longer, but obviously in terms of safety, as long as it needs to be. But everyone's trying to jump on the virtual train, and that's just my last guest said it. That's the new normal.
Oh yeah, the new normal is what's kind of funny about the new normal is everyone actually is seeming to enjoy it a little bit more because they get to do it at their own leisure time too, though, right?
Right.
So even just being in the comfort of your own home, I had a lot of people approach us right away and say, hey, after all of this, is this going to be something that's regular for you? And we had to say, yeah, because that's what clients are now interested in. So all of a sudden that transition goes right into technology.
Yeah. And I like, being a dad with a young kid and working and all that. Sometimes it's hard to make appointments and commit to things, but when things are put out online and you can kind of watch them at your own time. I know some are live, but if you can do a replay of that or anything, I find that really helps. Like we were able to do a ton of things that I couldn't make before that were, might have been on at 9:30, 10 in the morning. And I'm not there at that time. So
yeah, it's almost like the old school record.
Yeah.
When you'd go over and record, you'd take a VHS and you'd be like, okay, we're going to record it between this time and this time, and then have your hockey game playing later.
You're too young to even know what a VHS recorder is.
Oh, don't.
That's my heyday.
Actually, we were just talking, my dad and I, and we went through all of the technology, like coming from VHSs, and then we went to like CDs, and then they cut the CDs in half and had like the half rounded with the cut in. Yeah, it goes nice. Pretty in depth when it comes to technology.
Well, let me read a little bit about your bio here. There's quite a bit of interesting stuff about you. So obviously you're the owner and senior instructor at the Windsor Circus School. You started off as a gymnast and progressed into competitive national diving.
Yes.
You then became a competitive gymnastics coach, and which obviously kind of led or transitioned you into getting into the direction of the circus arts. And I know that you did a bunch of traveling. Southeast Asia pops up here, and obviously learned tips and training techniques and stuff like that. And then I assume that's what kind of made you want to start to share things around Windsor being your hometown. Right?
Oh yeah. The whole coming back to Windsor and finding that niche of what I know was very interesting. The trajectory of myself personally, going through gymnastics, which I trained at Windstars, shout out to Carrie, nice. And Melinda right now. And then went into diving with Iwana. I think Iwana is now back in town, so she does the Windsor Dive Club. So in case anyone's interested in jumping off a 5-meter diving board, she's the person to see over at the Aquatic Center.
Is there anything you can't do?
I can't do math.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Don't ask me to do math. As a business owner, I struggle with that one.
Nice. So what year did you actually start the Windsor Circus School?
It was 3 years in May. So we actually had a quarantine birthday for all of you out there who also had nice. Quarantine birthdays.
Sad, but nice.
So that was kind of our turning point. I think when you own a business and you come past 2 years, you kind of do the whole wish-washy. What are you going to do with it, right? Do you really love it enough to continue? Do you want to put your sweat, blood, and tears into it and continue? Right. And to be honest, yes. Yeah, because it's really the only thing I've ever done. So it's one of those things to know your passion and go for it.
Exactly. I was going to say, when you're passionate about something, nothing can stop you. But most businesses don't even make it 3 years. And here you're very successful, but now we have to kind of reinvent ourselves again. But obviously you're doing that and you're doing it well.
Yeah, I think we're always reinventing ourselves, though, when it comes down to it. And that's something I have a conversation about with a lot of people is like, if you're comfortable with change, then you don't ever, it doesn't ever, I guess, hit you so hard,
Right.
right? You're not ever super stalled by it because you know you're constantly in transition, and then you just get comfortable with that. A lot of entrepreneurs kind
N-
of go that way.
No doubt. I am not comfortable doing this podcast, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. My live TV skills are not the best. But
You're doing great. This is awesome.
When you started the school, did it catch on quickly, or did it take some time? And was there maybe any confusion? Like you know, you hear the Windsor Circus School, like I don't hit me or hurt me for this, but I mean the first thing I'm like, oh, like are they training clowns to become clown performers? Or are they, and this is no insult to them or to you as well, but is that even our own thing? We're called Fantastic Fathers, but we're a full family group. We're open to, we want the moms there, we love the moms, but sometimes you hear a certain word and you focus on that. So did it catch on quickly, and was there any confusion in the beginning?
So I guess circus is kind of generational, right? The
Mhm.
concept of what you know about circus is very generational. So I think for the first little bit, it was very much like people were wondering if it's a traveling circus, right?
Mhm.
We got a little bit of flack for like, are you keeping animals somewhere?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, my one utility closet cannot hold any type of animal.
No
It's about
elephants.
this big. No elephants, unfortunately. So that one, yeah, that one I think we had a little bit of flack from. We get a lot of the, hey, do you train clowns? That's a lot of the punny humor that comes out of
Mhm.
it. Oh, I got a clown for you, right?
Right.
My husband, he's
Oh,
over
yeah.
here,
Oh
he's ready.
boy.
Yeah, so we
How
get a
many
lot of
times
punny
have you
humor.
heard that joke?
So many, so many. And you know what? It still gets me every time because it's the connection point,
Right.
right? It's the connection point that they make to the circus. And
Mhm.
like I said, every generation has a little bit of a different concept of it. So now coming into the new world 2020 and like the last 10 years of circus, it's become very acrobatic and very, yeah, internationally, like almost gymnastics, right?
Mhm.
You kind of take it either to an athletic skill or you go into performance, and those are your two directions.
Right. So I know there's a bunch, but what are like some of the programs and educational classes that you provide there?
Oh, this is always such a mouthful of questions.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long
Yeah,
answer.
no, it's good. It's good. So I actually had a very difficult time trying to figure out what that looked like for us because
Mhm.
there are so many routes that you can take with this. So what we basically did is we divided it into youth and adult,
Mhm.
and then we divided it into ground and aerial. So the ground-based stuff is what you need to be a functioning human, right? So you have functional fitness, you're working on your hips, you're working on your joint stability, you're working on your neck. And then you go into a little bit more of the heavy stretching and contortion and whatever else that looks like. So that's the ground stuff, and that helps train for the aerial stuff.
The word
So
contortionist just scares me.
what, you can't bend in half and like, no?
I can barely put my shoes on.
Hey, functional fitness would be good for
I,
you.
I would love to do it. I'm excited to see the
Yeah.
new place.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? One of like coming into society and like sitting in a chair and not moving in that one position, or like moving your mouse around, right? And not moving
Mhm.
other than back and forth.
Right.
Functional fitness really does start to assist in like opening your body up, right?
Mhm.
And that's a lot of the stuff that we try to initiate first. Like, hey, know your body, know what it needs to work on. We try to work on being as symmetrical as possible. So right shoulder, left shoulder, hand, legs, making sure everything walks forward properly. And then you can kind of take it in whatever direction you want. So that's where the intense aerials come in. And so the aerials go, we have silks, we have lyra, we have trapeze, we have rope and straps, which has been really nice too.
Mhm.
So it's been kind of interesting to section that off and
Mhm.
say, hey, what are you interested in? And it's very independent, whatever that person
Right.
wants. It's very personal. So
What?
taking them through that journey.
Right. What's your personal favorite? I know you don't like the spinning. You're not
I'm
a.
not a spinner. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I do try still as much as possible because
Mhm.
that's a part of the training. So like
Yeah.
inverting, trying to stay upside down for a long period of time,
Mhm.
breathing and not having the blood pool in your head.
Mhm.
Spinning is another one. Like if you ever sat in a chair like this and go woo a
Oh,
bunch
I
of
do it all the
times.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. As
At
much as
work.
you can. Yeah, exactly. You're spin training. You
There
didn't
you go.
even know.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, so that's really interesting too. But I'd say I'm a flipper and a
Mhm.
flailer.
Okay.
So the more that I can spin laterally or forward and backwards,
Mhm.
I come from a gymnastics and diving background. So the more that you can rotate before you hit something, the more fun it is. So
Yeah. Okay.
I guess
Well, good.
in that case, my
You
favorite
keep
one.
doing that. I'm gonna sit that one out, but you
Yeah,
keep going with
yeah. I guess
that.
that in that case, my favorite one is probably at this point in time is duo trapeze because
Nice.
there's two of us. We're working on a single apparatus, and there's a lot of back and forth motion. So it's a lot of like hinging, and I'm able to rotate as fast as I want to.
Well, I watched the videos that you put out, and they're amazing. You have to follow the Windsor Circus School on Facebook and Instagram, and see the videos that she puts out. They're stunning to watch, to be honest.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. So us being, a family-oriented organization, so you
Mhm.
mentioned that you have youth classes. So
Mhm.
can you tell us more about those programs and kind of what age you can start at, and then where you go from there?
Yeah, youth is really cool because it's a little bit of controlled chaos, I would
Mm.
say. It's not as structured as a couple of other disciplines out there. So we take your crazy kid, and we're all a bunch of misfits. You take your crazy kid who wants to climb everything, and then
Hmm.
teach him properly how to. Right.
Perfect.
So there are a couple different avenues, which is aerials. We do silks and lyra. So one's a hard apparatus, one's a soft apparatus, and then we teach like cognitive ability. So the concept of catching something, throwing something, taking something and putting it under your leg and then being able to gather it on the other side. A lot
Mhm.
of it is a connection point that we don't have anymore, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
We don't just go and climb our neighbor's backyard fence anymore
Right.
because we're inside playing video games. And so allowing them to be a little bit more active like a monkey and but in a safe way,
Right.
right? In the safe monkey way, because that's what I was. And to finally find something that was
That's what you still are.
Yes, I know. Don't tell me what I already know.
Sorry.
That's all good. No, so that's one route, and that's very recreational. So coming and being able to do, I think we have a 12-week program. We go from the beginning. It's 3 months. They start from beginner. There's an intermediate, and then there's an advanced.
Hmm.
And then our secondary program is for like myself. What happens is after you do gymnastics or diving or any of these dancing, right? All of these other skills that you dedicate yourself to for 8 to 10 years as a youth,
Hmm.
and you have all these skills and then you drop off because as an 11, 14-year-old you don't really have a direction to go anymore. A
Right.
lot of those programs kind of fizzle out.
Hmm.
And so we've created what is called, we have a prime, which is a performance realized and movement education group, and a prep group, which is a pre-performance group.
Nice.
And so they are kind of auditioned to say, hey, okay, what are your skill sets? Are you a dancer? Do you like to flip? Are you a handstander? Can you kick a ball really far? Seriously, because they're
Yeah.
all the jugglers, right? The jugglers use
Yeah.
their feet, they use their hands all the time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see those youth come out of those programs and then have all of this skill, but have nowhere to apply it.
For sure.
Right. So we have a recreational program and then we have a little bit of a high performance program as well.
Nice. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. Like that could be with anything, you can like, really excel at high school sports, but then, you might not be quite good enough to get to that next level in college, but there's a gap there like to actually hone your skills, and perhaps you could be if you just had another little transitional phase to get there.
Yeah, and I think I really seriously started Circus probably about 20,
Mhm.
when I was 20,
Oh, wow.
and then, because I had the muscle memory
Mhm.
of when I was in heavy sports, it was applied really properly, and then
Mhm.
from there, I kinda started traveling and learning from people, and yeah, it's been fun being a coach inside of a controlled, chaotic environment.
Well, I know besides all these awesome programs that you run there, you guys actually you host events there.
Mhm.
Like, tell us a little bit about those. I know you had the New Year's Eve and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, yeah. So I, outside of being a monkey, very much like throwing parties.
Mhm.
And so we had a secondary section of that. So we have the Windsor Circus School, but we also have Height Entertainment. And Height is my little love bug, I would say, of mine, where I just take all of the performers and say, hey, you haven't had the opportunity to try this, but would you like to? Right?
Mhm.
Would you like to become a performer? And I find Windsor lacks in that. There's the transition of we don't have big events. We do, but they're at the casino or they're down
Right.
at the riverfront, right?
Right.
And so when we go to events, we're always participants. But what if you could enjoy it as a different side of that?
Right.
And so the circus school allows people, if they want to come up through the grapevine and then also start training performances, which are character development, right? Which is hand movement, and get a little creative with themselves as
Mhm.
well. And so Height Entertainment basically has all of our staff and our pre-performance group, and we go out to different events. We are hired for festivals, we are hired for car events. And I really like bringing events into my space because I have all the rigging there, right?
Perfect.
Which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Easier.
So, yeah,
Easier that way.
it's so easy.
Mhm.
So I'm very happy and I'm excited for the next step of hosting these parties and having all of the rigging in the air already and just having a bunch of aerials or contortionists or dancers around
Right.
because yeah, to create an atmosphere where people can feel comfortable and let loose for a night, it's my favorite.
Well, that's exactly was my next question. So that's basically how we met.
Yeah.
We met at
Yeah.
my Father's Day event. Uh, I had heard of you guys and I wanted to see what it was all about. So I
Mm.
sent a phone call her way and I said, hey, we'd like to book you for our annual Father's Day event. And you quickly said yes and jumped on board, and it's been amazing. So can you describe maybe your thoughts on being at our event specifically,
Oh,
and
your
then
event is nuts.
yeah.
Yeah, your event is crazy. We talk about controlled chaos. You have just chaos everywhere. Some control, but it's mostly just a runaround. For a 5,000 person, right? It was
Well,
5,000 person.
it's hard to tell because people are coming in and out, but we did a rough estimate around 4,000 people the last
Yeah.
couple of years. But the space we're at St. Clair College, the sportsplex, amazing. It's huge. So even with that many people, it's not crowded or busy. Like there's no real lineups for anything because we try to pack it with so many things to do. But yeah, we will not do our event without you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the first time we did it, I think it was the craziest thing for all of our instructors to we normally perform for adults, right? And so to have that, and then we co-created this mini performance of Zop and put it together. Zop was the sad clown, and the sad clown had this direction he was going, and everyone had tutus on. It was just so freeing for us to have a little bit of fun with it, I would say. Typically, we're pretty corporate, and so this one was nice to be like, all right, what tutu are you wearing?
Yeah.
What clown face are you wearing?
The outfits are amazing. But yeah, and you do a performance. There's like a 30-minute, 40-minute performance, but you're also there the whole day and you're working with kids. So tell us some of the things that you're doing with the kids while they're there that day.
Yeah, so the interactive stuff is really cool when it comes down to being at festivals and like large groups where you have adults and youth. Sometimes I feel like the adults actually like it more than the youth sometimes because it's one of those things that you never get to do, right?
Right.
So we call it interactive guided play, and we take juggling balls and we bring spinning plates with us, and we teach the crowd how to do these things, which is kind of fun.
I've tried both of those and I cannot do either one.
Hey, last time your like Bosu ball roll was amazing.
Yeah, if I don't know if anyone plans on reaching out to Tia for any type of sponsorship, but be prepared. It's not just sending a nice letter or a pleasant phone call. She's gonna put you to work for this. So
Listen,
she's made me do some things that I'm not overly proud of. But if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're inviting the circus in, you gotta be ready.
No doubt about that. Yeah. So sadly, our event won't be taking place this month, but obviously we want to be back for next year, bigger and better. And that's one of the things every time I call you and I say, hey, are you on board again for this year? You're basically her statement is, yep, bigger and better. And I love that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm on board with you, dude.
Nice. So is there anything that I've missed? Anything else you'd like to tell the public about the Circus School, or anything that you want to promote? I know you have, like you say, the online stuff coming up. Do you want to speak a little more about that, or?
Yeah, I guess we can do online when it comes down to training your muscles. I would say something that I am always super adamant about is just discipline, right? Self-discipline. What does it look like for you? What does it look like for this person? It's always different per person. And so our online classes basically take the broad spectrum of training and then say, okay, if you're interested in just stretching, let's do 45 minutes of just stretching. If you had a long day, your legs are dying, let's come and sit on our butt for 45 minutes and stretch. And then it goes into like, if you want muscles, we have a strong fit class, and just getting into like how pushing and pulling works for that one's great too. And then it goes super intense. So anyone that's in any of the heavy sports and wants to continue their splits, back bends, handstands, gymnastics conditioning, then we have something for you as well.
Nice. Everything all under one nice, convenient spot.
Yes. Yeah. We're trying to umbrella it. It's very difficult to put all of these into terms, I would say, like words, because it's just so internal. It's a movement, right? So how do you label movement? And there's so many different types of labels to finally say, okay, these are the 5 that we're hanging out with. It was a little bit of a struggle for me, for sure.
For sure. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some funny personal questions now.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. How long can you hold a handstand for?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't.
Are we set up in the studio for this? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty good hand balancer, but I don't know how sturdy this is. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't timed myself in a while. I used to, however, my competitive gymnastics crew, in order for me to be like, hey, you need to do a handstand and it needs to be this good, I would put myself in the middle of a circle and they would individually come push me.
Okay.
And so this was like a personal self goal with myself, is saying, okay, now you try to push me. Now you try to push me. And then they would have to do it back. So it was almost this little challenging game, but I don't really know how long I can hold a
Well,
handstand for. I'll have to look into that.
well, it's definitely over a minute, if not 5
You'd be
minutes.
surprised how hard a minute is.
Oh, I know, but I've watched your videos
Yeah,
on it.
that's
The
true.
Instagram videos are usually around a minute long and whatever, and it doesn't seem to be a problem
Oh,
for
well.
you. Can you eat food while you're upside down?
I don't recommend it.
Okay,
I
okay.
feel like that's a choking hazard.
It could be.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, I'm not
Yeah.
the
Let's put
greatest.
that out. No.
I'm not
No
the greatest
eating
at these
food.
interviews, but I'm trying to come up with some creative questions here for you.
I have drank water upside down to get rid of hiccups, though.
There you go.
Yeah. I suggest that one. No food, but water upside down for hiccups.
Perfect.
Solid.
Can you sleep upside down, like a bat or something?
You know, I am pretty narcoleptic. I'm sure there's amount of time where the blood does pool to your head, though. So I would have to ask a medical professional about that one.
I did the inversion table one time, and I don't even think if it was 3 minutes, I'd be shocked. And I actually felt a little like messed up for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like I was lightheaded
Yeah.
and just not feeling myself.
But that goes back to the inversion training, right?
There you
Like
go.
hanging upside down, breathing into it, realigning yourself. That's like altitude. It's the same thing. You're kind of throwing your body out of whack.
Right, for sure. If you were a superhero or a villain, which one would you be?
Ooh, Mystique. Yeah, I had that one. The rest, yeah, that one was good. Mystique is awesome. The disappearing act and the shapeshifting, solid.
Nice, totally you. I also picture you as kind of like the Harley Quinn a little bit as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But that's more like sadistic. If I'm gonna go with like a superpower, I want to be able to run fast, jump, and fly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want that? How many guys have you beat in an arm wrestling competition?
Oh, so this used to be a great question for me before I was like 15.
Okay.
Because what happens, and this is my rant, what happens is testosterone. And then all of a sudden, you guys have a head start. It's just super plain and simple. Yeah, I'd say that the male testosterone definitely like outbeats my arms.
Well, I'm in my 40s now, so that's plummeted. So you'd have no problem
Solid
handling me.
You and I later.
Nice. Serious question: have you ever sustained any bad injuries or anything like that from the stuff you've done?
Oh man, where do I start? Yes.
Maybe with the worst one.
Yeah, my worst one, I had a ACL surgery.
Okay.
And so that kind of came from stupidity. I think I was just playing around and was trying to show off. I was young. And then hyperextended my knee backwards. So this is your leg. I went the opposite direction, and that was done. So most athletes do have an ACL injury.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of them are as stupid as mine were, but inside of that, there was surgery. So now my hamstring is wrapped around my leg and bolted into the front of my leg, which is a little bit of an issue when it comes to tracking. So my knee doesn't track as properly. And, rehab is a whole thing. So now it's a consistent rehab over and over again.
Gotcha.
But I've become a very good faller since then. And so
you definitely have to learn how to fall.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, that's a part of my programs that I enjoy the most is literally before you go into something that's intense is learning how to fall so that you know that you're going to come out okay, essentially.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear, especially for the young kids and that. So tell anyone watching this today or whenever they get to it, like where can we find, obviously, social media, but give us your social media locations and website and that.
Social media locations. These are some of my favorite. I've been really, you know this, me and social media are tight. Okay, so we can do Windsor Circus School on Instagram. Our Instagram is fun. It kind of keeps everyone up to date on the upcoming events. Facebook, I would say, is informative. Windsor Circus School on Facebook. If you're looking for information from Circus and like what Circus is, that's a great location as well. We've released a couple blogs. I know as soon as we kind of went into the COVID era and everyone shut down, a lot of people were trying to rig in their households so that they could have the apparatuses they want. And so we released information on like how to rig to your ceiling properly, what you should be looking for so that you don't drop onto your head and have a C-spine injury. That one was a great.
Did you get all that?
Yeah, I liked that article. It made people safe.
Nice.
And then we are in Twitter. So Twitter is a bit of like what's going on immediately. We released a couple new playlists. Spotify is great. We've organized all of our playlists under each individual category. So if you have youth at home that you would like a youth-friendly playlist to put on, we have a couple of those. We also have a couple chill playlists that go into like yoga and a little bit more meditation. And I think that was a mouthful. Oh, and we're on TikTok.
Oh, you did. You caved. You did.
Yeah, we did. We caved. We're now on TikTok. So
Nice.
just in case you have, again, any youth at home,
Right.
or if you're bored like myself and try to dive into that world, please come see our silly things that we have going
Nice.
on.
Well, I definitely want to thank you for sponsoring us. I say this all the time, but we are 100% funded through sponsorship. So we could not do anything without you guys. So we very much appreciate it. We very much appreciate you being at the events, having you there. Look forward to next year already, and hopefully we've kind of just thrown it back and forth, but we're hoping to be able to do something this year before, once everything lets out. We got a little bit of a rough plan for that. I think will be pretty exciting, hopefully.
Yeah. Bigger and better.
Yeah. Is there anything that I might have missed that you want to get out there, or did my interviewing skills cover everything today?
No, I think you did great. I think that was a good conversation back.
Can you say that again a little louder?
You did great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, all right. I appreciate you being here today. Tell everyone at the Circus School, tell Joe, then Deanna, of course, that I said hi, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. And I look forward to probably a special announcement coming sooner or later down the pipeline.
Yeah, we have a couple special announcements.
Nice. All right. Thank you for being here, Tia. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Take care. So, as always, thank you to all of our sponsors, Tia included, and everyone else. Please stay tuned to our Facebook page for some announcements that we have coming up as well. Again, we recently put out our newest community safety initiative where we have some children's safety signs. Those are available on our site. If you live in a high traffic neighborhood or have some crazy motorists driving down your street at a high rate of speed, you can get one of these signs, put them in your front yard. They're a $10 donation, and just message us on our page, or you can email us at info@fantasticfathers.ca, and we'll get one of these signs in your yard and hope to keep the children safe all summer long. So we'd really appreciate that. Other than that, stay tuned for our next podcast that we have coming up. We have some really exciting guests, as always, that will be on the show. So take care, everyone, and stay safe. Thank you very much.